4:28 a.m., August 19th, 2025. The desert along the Sonora-Arizona border lies in eerie silence. Wind scours the sand, stars shimmer faintly in the black sky, and the air is thick with the heat of a long summer night. Yet, beneath this quiet, something massive is moving. A mechanized wall of steel and firepower, 3,075 U.S. Marines, advances through the desert with cold precision. Convoys of MRAPs, Humvees, and LAV-25 armored vehicles grind across the dirt, engines rumbling like a rolling earthquake. Overhead, the faint silhouettes of AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters circle, rotors slicing the air, their pilots scanning the horizon with infrared scopes. Tonight, the target is no foreign army. It's the Sinaloa Cartel, a force of nearly 1,200 fighters who have entrenched themselves in desert compounds after days of raids against Mexican police and U.S. patrol stations. Their goal: open a corridor north for smuggling drugs, weapons, and cash on a scale unseen before. Their mistake: believing they could mass such power this close to the U.S. border without retaliation. For 3 days, U.S. satellites, MQ-9 Reaper drones, and DEA informants have tracked every movement of the cartel force. Convoys of technical trucks bristling with heavy machine guns, RPG squads reinforcing sandbag nests, fuel and ammo stockpiles hidden in shallow ravines. All of it mapped, tagged, and fed into the Marine command net. Inside the Forward Operations Center, a sand-colored command tent shielded by blast walls, Major General Howard P. Lennox stands over a glowing holographic display. Blue icons mark Marine units. Red icons mark cartel positions. Every movement is visible in real time. Around him, radio operators, intelligence officers, and artillery liaisons speak in clipped tones, refining strike data and confirming troop readiness. The mission is clear and merciless. Neutralize everything. Let nothing escape. But this will not be easy. The cartel has chosen its ground well. They've dug into the edges of a shallow valley, fortified with trenches, mounted 50 cal machine guns, and anti-aircraft cannons strapped to flatbed trucks. They believe that with enough firepower and brutality, they can repel anything. At 5 a.m., seismic sensors planted days earlier detect vibrations. Cartel convoys are repositioning. Intercepted radio chatter confirms their plan. Their commander, a ruthless lieutenant known only as El Jaguar, is preparing an ambush. His order: strike the Marines as they cross into the valley, overwhelm them with RPG fire, and scatter survivors into the desert. But the cartel doesn't realize every word has already been heard, every move anticipated. At 5:13 a.m., the desert night shatters. Behind Marine lines, M777 howitzers roar, hurling precision-guided Excalibur rounds into the darkness. Seconds later, firestorms ripple across cartel staging camps. Fuel trucks erupt like miniature suns, fireballs rolling skyward. Ammunition depots detonate in brutal secondary explosions, shredding everything nearby. The cartel fighters scramble into their trucks, engines screaming, headlights stabbing the darkness. But the Marines are already on the move. Columns of armored vehicles surge forward, headlights off, guided only by infrared optics. Dust boils under their wheels as squads of infantry ride in disciplined silence, weapons tight against their chests. The thunder of their approach builds with every passing second. Overhead, the Vipers and Venoms close in, their Hellfire missiles already locked on thermal signatures below. In orbit higher above, MQ-9 Reapers beam down live feeds, painting every cartel position onto Marine HUDs. The enemy has nowhere to hide. At 5:20 a.m., the lead Marine elements crest a ridge. Below them lies the valley. Cartel vehicles packed tight, gunners scrambling onto machine gun mounts, fighters rushing out of bunkers, RPGs shouldered and ready. The battlefield is a hive of motion, all under the pale light of burning fuel tanks and distant flares. The radio in General Lennox's tent crackles. An operations officer turns, awaiting the order. For a brief moment, silence reigns. Dozens of commanders across the network hold their breath, awaiting the signal that will unleash one of the largest Marine operations against a cartel in history. Finally, Lennox gives it. All units, advance. Break them. Engines roar to full throttle. Tanks lurch forward, cannons elevating. Infantry squads surge from their carriers, forming into fire teams across the sand. Above, helicopters dip into attack runs, rocket pods armed and waiting. The Sinaloa fighters below, their confidence still unbroken, raise weapons, convinced they can withstand the coming storm. They have no idea they're minutes from being overwhelmed by a force 5 times their size, with skies, ground, and artillery aligned against them. The Marines roll down into the valley. The hour of reckoning begins. Part 2. The Clash of Titans. 5:21 a.m. The first wave of Marines hits the valley floor. Dust and sand swirl violently as the LAV-25s and MRAPs roar forward, engines screaming. From fortified positions, the Sinaloa Cartel opens fire with a storm of tracers, 50-caliber rounds spitting from truck-mounted guns, and RPGs lancing through the desert air. The first salvo erupts across the dunes, a deadly curtain meant to halt the Marine advance. But the Marines are ready. Mortar teams behind the ridge unleash illumination rounds, bathing the valley in harsh white light. Every shadow, every bunker, every vehicle is exposed. Suppression fire is precise. Infantry squads move methodically, rifles and M4s tearing through enemy cover, grenades detonating inside shallow bunkers. Every movement is calculated, every step synchronized. Above, the AH-1Z Vipers swoop low, firing Hydra 70 rockets and Hellfires with surgical precision. Trucks explode mid-convoy, flipping and rolling as their gunners are shredded by flames and steel. The roar of engines mixes with screaming fires as the first wave of cartel vehicles is decimated. The cartel fights back with desperation. RPGs whistle toward advancing Marines, one striking an MRAP and rocking it violently. Smoke pours from the vehicle, but the Marines pour out returning fire. A UH-60 Blackhawk swoops low, blades whipping the air, extracting the wounded with near-perfect timing under covering fire from surrounding infantry. Chaos engulfs the valley. Cartel fighters leap from trucks, firing indiscriminately, attempting to flank the Marines with small squads. The overlapping sound of AK-47s, M4 bursts, RPGs, and detonating vehicles creates a wall of noise that reverberates off desert cliffs. Yet for every move the cartel makes, the Marines anticipate the response. The ground shakes as M1A2 Abrams tanks roll forward, their 120mm cannons tearing through fortified positions. Bunkers collapse, walls crumble, and any fighters left standing are forced into open terrain, easy targets for Marine riflemen and snipers perched on ridges. The valley is a steel trap closing around them. From above, the MQ-9 Reapers watch every attempted retreat. Heat signatures are locked and tracked. Hellfire missiles streak silently, obliterating escape vehicles with unerring accuracy. Each strike leaves behind a crater of fire and twisted metal, a silent warning to anyone thinking they could flee. At 5:39 a.m., 20 minutes into the fight, the first organized resistance begins to falter. Nearly half the cartel's vehicles are destroyed. Fuel trucks, ammo caches, and technicals are reduced to flaming wrecks. Over 400 cartel fighters lie dead or incapacitated. The rest are scattered, confused, and running out of options. Still, a few pockets of resistance remain. On the eastern ridge, sniper teams rain fire down, pinning Marine squads momentarily. But with coordinated artillery strikes and helicopter support, these last threats are neutralized. A 155mm precision-guided round obliterates the sniper nest in a deafening explosion, leaving only scorched earth behind. Meanwhile, in the southern desert, a convoy of cartel trucks attempts to escape. Marines respond immediately. Javelin teams target the lead vehicles, armored and reinforced, yet no match for guided anti-tank missiles. Explosions tear through the convoy, sending trucks spinning and detonating cargo into columns of smoke that light the horizon. Every Marine unit moves with purpose. Electronic warfare teams jam communications, scramble GPS signals, and cut off the cartel's coordination. No radio call goes unanswered, no vehicle moves untracked. The cartel is trapped in a virtual cage, every exit covered. The Sinaloa fighters fight with desperation and courage, but they are outmatched. For every gunner who raises his weapon, a Marine is already calculating the counter: suppressive fire, flank maneuver, or guided strike from above. The valley has become a crucible, and the cartel is melting into it. By 5:50 a.m., 30 minutes into combat, the tide is clear. Over 600 cartel fighters are neutralized or trapped. Dozens of vehicles destroyed. Their command network shattered. Marines and supporting air units work in seamless coordination. Artillery, armor, infantry, and helicopters synchronized to the second. El Jaguar, the cartel commander, realizes the battlefield has turned against him. His signals are jammed, his escape routes blocked, and every remaining fighter scattered or pinned. Above, Reapers and Vipers continue to monitor, ready to strike any last attempt at regrouping. By the time the 41st minute of the battle arrives, the valley floor is a blazing testament to Marine precision. Fires erupt across dozens of targets. Smoke and sand mix into a dense fog, obscuring bodies and vehicles alike. Every attempt at counterattack is immediately suppressed, every move predicted, every corridor covered. The Marines have crushed the cartel's offensive momentum. The first major phase of the battle, overwhelming the enemy and breaking their ability to fight as a unit, is complete. The hour of reckoning is halfway over, but the outcome is no longer in doubt. Part 3. Silence after fire. 6:02 a.m. The roar of battle is fading. Smoke curls from dozens of burning vehicles, twisting metal glints in the dim desert light, and the acrid scent of fuel and gunpowder hangs heavy in the air. The valley that moments ago seethed with chaos is now a grid of flaming wrecks, scattered weapons, and stunned cartel fighters. Marines sweep forward, organized and relentless. Fire teams move through the debris, rifles trained, eyes scanning every shadow. Squad leaders issue clipped commands through earpieces. Every prisoner is secured, every weapon cataloged. DEA teams, embedded with the Marines' photograph and inventory, hundreds of AK-47s, machine guns, RPGs, and explosives, as well as thousands of fentanyl bricks and cash caches. Evidence is tagged and secured for immediate transport. In the heart of the valley, Marines approach the burned-out shell of a cartel Ford Raptor. Inside, the cartel commander El Jaguar lies slumped, injured but alive. He is immediately handcuffed, and his laptops and encrypted radios are seized. Satellite phones, coded communications, and transaction records are recovered on the spot, ensuring the cartel's internal operations are exposed to U.S. intelligence. Across the battlefield, pockets of resistance are being methodically eliminated. Small groups of fighters hiding behind debris are quickly neutralized with precision bursts from M4s or targeted rounds from sniper teams. The valley, once alive with the cacophony of gunfire, is now filled with the mechanical hum of engines and the distant thump of helicopters. By 6:19 a.m., the tally is grim for the cartel. Over 870 fighters neutralized, 230 captured alive, and nearly 90 vehicles destroyed. Fires continue to consume fuel and ammo dumps, sending plumes of black smoke skyward. The Marines suffer 7 killed and 24 wounded, all evacuated via UH-60 Blackhawks to forward medical posts. The final sweep begins. Teams move through the shattered compounds, clearing every structure. Weapons caches are cataloged and remaining cartel assets are seized. Portable floodlights illuminate rows of captured fighters, weapons, and drugs. The scene is surreal, a desert graveyard of the cartel's ambition, dominated by disciplined Marine formations. Above, Reapers and Vipers continue to patrol, scanning for any last threats. Small groups attempting to flee are quickly intercepted by guided missile strikes or helicopter gunships. The valley has become a cage. The cartel's retreat is impossible. Major General Lennox surveys the scene from a forward observation point. The sun rises, casting long gold and red streaks across the desert. The scale of the operation is staggering. Every calculation, every sensor, every strike is executed flawlessly. This was more than a firefight. It was a precision strike designed to annihilate a powerful criminal network in under an hour. By 6:28 a.m., Lennox issues the order. Cease fire, secure the zone. Engines idle. Marines form defensive perimeters around prisoners and seized assets. The valley is silent except for the crackle of smoldering wreckage and the hum of UAVs circling overhead. Forward teams begin cataloging the remaining arsenal. Crates of fentanyl, high-caliber firearms, RPGs, and hundreds of thousands in US and Mexican currency. In the following minutes, the operation's symbolic impact becomes clear. The capture of El Jaguar and his operational data represents a devastating blow to the Sinaloa Cartel, severing command chains and crippling the flow of drugs and weapons. For the cartel, this desert will forever be remembered as the place their invincibility shattered. Marines and DEA agents work in tight coordination. Prisoners are bound, interrogated, and prepared for transfer. Valuable intelligence is transmitted securely back to Washington for immediate analysis. Every action reflects hours of meticulous planning, rehearsal, and technological superiority. By 6:45 a.m., the battlefield is fully secured. The sun rises over the desert, illuminating twisted vehicles, burned compounds, and collected weapons like a harsh morning after a storm. Photographers capture the scene, showing the aftermath of one of the largest single operations against the Sinaloa Cartel in U.S. history. The battle lasted exactly 1 hour, but its effects will last for years. 3,075 Marines, operating with overwhelming force and superior coordination, have dismantled a major cartel regiment. The Sinaloa Cartel has lost not only personnel and assets, but also the perception of invincibility at the border. In the quiet aftermath, Major General Lennox addresses his forward command teams. Mission accomplished. The desert is secure. Every target neutralized or captured. Every exit sealed. We've proven that precise, coordinated force will dominate any threat. Helicopters lift off with the wounded, UAVs continue surveillance, and Marines begin the march back to staging areas. The captured prisoners are escorted for intelligence debriefing, while the recovered weapons and drugs are secured for evidence. The July 19, 2025 operation will be remembered as a classic demonstration of patience, intelligence, and overwhelming combined arms power. From Reaper surveillance to artillery precision, electronic warfare, infantry maneuvers, and helicopter insertions, every element was synchronized to perfection. The Sinaloa Cartel may regroup, but in this 1 hour, 3,075 U.S. Marines showed the world. Crossing the line of American defense in the desert is not just dangerous, it is impossible to survive.